Alright guys, back here at VetteSource today, where we're going to take a little bit of time to show the disassembly, at least to the upper end of this Lingenfelter Superram. Now for those of you that don't know what this is a chain port injection motor out of 86 through 1991 Corvette with a an aftermarket Lingenfelter intake on it called a Superram. Now this was designed, kind of penciled out if you will, when John Lingenfelter was looking to add some more horsepower to the L98 configuration and another 1,000 RPM. So the idea he sketched out, and from what I remember reading about this, and if I'm wrong, correct me guys in the comments, but he designed this originally on a napkin and cut the runners in half, of course, to reduce that runner length, and then had fabricated a sheet metal intake for it, a plenum for it to get that extra horsepower. And then after making this custom order for several customers, I believe that Accel came into the picture, and that's when they went in and Accel basically partnered up with them on this and made this the production version, is what we see today. Now what you'll notice is it does have visible bolts, but one of the only Achilles heel of this system is the frustration with taking it on and putting it back on, or taking it off and putting it back on. So what I'm going to show you real quick is how this plenum comes out. Now the original, this is a production version, the original prototypes that they were using, they were making out of sheet metal, I believe had twice as many bolts across the top. But let me show you here how this comes apart. I'm going to mount my GoPro right here so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing and make sure it's still working, which it is. Okay, so on the top you've got all these perimeter Allen head bolts that come out of here, and make sure I don't lose my bags to keep things in place. And what you'll do is you'll go around this area here to get this set up. There are actually 4 pieces to this intake manifold: the top cover, the base, and then the runners. So what I'm going to do is show you how this is set up and what made guys want to try or come up with different methods to try to get this thing put in place, because it was just not the easiest thing to work with. So this reminds me a lot of the if you've dealt with the C5 transmission tunnel cover. It has, I forget, is it 34 or 40 bolts that hold that in place, because it actually becomes a structural member of the tunnel. This is a very similar type thing, and I'm doing this by hand because I don't want to break off any of the bolts in the intake. I'm just going very slow here. Let's get over here. With some silicone around it, so that one may have some sealing problems already, because there's so many points where you can get a potential vacuum leak. You have to be really careful with this system. And I believe that the prototype system did not have these finned aluminum casts on the top here, but I've only seen, I think, a few pictures of those original units, so I'm not entirely sure. So all you're going to do is take, I thought I had that loose enough. There's one. You just see those are just a standard fine thread T25 on these. So we work our way around this. Okay, good. This one's not stripped out. So, but they use silicone around that, so there must be a sealing problem there or something. We'll have to examine that later. That one that I forgot. I put these down so I don't lose them. Part of it too is that these are so small that the hardware was easily misplaced or dropped in an inconvenient spot inside somewhere around the nooks and crannies of these L98 intakes. So it could be a very frustrating experience, but just wait till I show you the other bolts. So get through. Bit of silicone back there, so it looks like they may have been having some sealing issues with this one. Let's see though. Down to the last four. All right, 17 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then all you're gonna do is from here, you pick straight up. Let me go ahead and move this so you guys can see here. Straight up, and there's the inside of it. So you can see as cast, and that's just the way it looks in there. Now, here's where this gets kind of crazy, all right? So, you'd think that maybe they would have attached these bolts from inside here to make it easier, but of course, no, they did not. The bolts run around the perimeter here with these very nice 16-bit head on these perimeter bolts, 8mm, 16 point, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then believe it or not, there are 2 more back in here. Now what I did for our purposes is I didn't even bother to try to put these in. Those 2 right there were the ones that would make the grown men cry because they're just impossible. You get a little more room with the valve cover, if I can get that off there, taken off, but you still don't get that much room. There's not much to work with there. Now what some enterprising person did with this intake was they went ahead and put in some studs from this side going down, which is actually not a bad idea. So this just takes an 8mm on top of there to get that in. So all you would have to do then is you come in, you take out 1, you take out 2, you take out 3. Again, trying not to drop these and using the right method. And the torque value on these is not very high. I seem to remember it only being about maybe 20 foot-pounds. It's not high. See, I just dropped one. Just like that. There we go. And the truth is, that almost fell right down into the cylinder head there. So you have to be really careful with these. They look great and they perform well, but there's that aggravation factor. So we're gonna get this last one in this corner out of there. So that's out. Now I've already taken apart the other side to reduce our frustration as I'm illustrating this. So then what happens is, in this case, it's just gonna come straight off of there, and there's the intake. Now you can see here, it's basically just, there's your indentation for your EGR valve with your hose fitting. There are those two studs that they JB welded into there. There's your accelerator bracket, cable bracket. Those are your throttle body mounts. And I need to remember, there is an air, this is an air port for something, and they have it blocked off on this intake, but I do believe there's a way, I don't remember, it's a bypass air. And then of course there was a sensor that goes here, vacuum fitting here, and two vacuum fittings here, and I can't remember which one goes there. I'll have to look again and see. And there's another one here, that's for the brake booster, I believe. So once you have this off, you can see right there, there's the Accel logo on the base. It just used a typical Accel base. Instead of the Accel runners, you use these half runners. And I'm not gonna bother with taking these off of here, just because they're the same process as the other tune ports. Actually even a little bit more tricky to get to, because you'll see down in there, that bolt is really hard to get to. It requires a thin-rolled Allen head to get in there. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then of course you're hidden from the reverse side of the back here for both of these. So it's really a cool intake, guys, but again, it's one of those things that if you want the power, you're gonna have to work for it, do a little bit more extra than you normally would. Of course, somebody broke that in the midterm. Now this engine here was, when I bought this engine, it only has, I think, around 60,000 miles. It's really a very nice clean engine internally even, but supposedly it has a slight ticking or knock. They think, the gentleman thinks he may have hurt the bottom end when he was road racing the car, which is possible, you know. Yeah, that was already messed up. So as you can see, and somebody went and coated this intake with a special coating. Now what I'm trying to decide to do with this is I will probably set this aside. I do have a 400 small box Chevy. I've got a nice, I think I've got a nice set of airflow research heads of 190s, and I may even have an original Lingenfelter cam for this setup. So if I've got those pieces, I may just go ahead and build this engine, or build another, that 400 engine, and see if we can't figure out which car to put this in. I really don't want to put this in my yellow Formula 350 because it's so stock and original, but we'll see. So that's gonna wrap things up today, guys. It's a little bit cold out here as we anticipate a rarely seen snow in Houston, and I'll be back next time with some more goodies. We'll be talking about some more Corvette stuff, or some of our other projects running around, maybe even that one over there, or some of the other stuff, or maybe even our new to us secondary Yukon XL 2500 with another 8-in-1 that I found the other day. So hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching.